Just starting today, which is super exciting. I come from London, UK. So I arrived here in September to start this amazing journey, and wasn't aware that I would be doing 3 courses. So that's amazing. I've made that happen. My background came from quite an idyllic child upbringing, but around the age of 13 that changed for the family circumstances. And then I went into forms of depression and anxiety. I developed what the doctors would call irritable bowel. And then I suffered with irritable bowel symptoms until recently. And that sort of...
How recent?
How recently. They've improved in the last 4 years, but now they're hugely better in the last 4 months. So it's amazing. And I have no pain, which is fantastic. So that just got progressively worse. I was told it was, just live with it, which is what doctors normally say. So I did research myself. I was told to just live with it, and it got progressively worse. And I went through a year of losing control of my bowels daily, and then investigated for bowel cancer and biopsies and all those sorts of things. They couldn't find anything. They said it was in my mind, which I now know that it completely was. And at the time, I just thought that was a bit weird. But so the healing journey has continued. I now don't lose control of my bowels. I now don't smell like a horse whenever I eat something, which is awesome. And I'm now, just in the last 3 or 4 months, starting to be able to reintroduce small amounts of gluten. Not that I want to consume gluten, but if it happens to creep in, I'm not out for 3 days in bed with severe pain and all those sorts of things. So my gut is definitely starting to heal. And I'm starting to be able to use my voice more, which is amazing. I don't think it's quite as soft as it was last month.
No, it wasn't, and even the last class,
Yeah.
right? Yes.
Yeah, it came through in the last class. So I'm super excited. I'm very much on my way to being a master practitioner. And then I'm continuing this amazing journey here in Ixtapa with Daryl and the team. And I will be a master trainer within 6 months to a year.
And she'll be doing consultations real soon, I hope.
Yes, I'm starting in March.
Yes. So she'll start consultations. And from those consultations, she'll make enough money to support herself here and more. Okay? And that's the deal. All right? We need an army. We need an army of people that have come from here and now they're here. And they can show people that can happen in months. In months. And we can reverse the irreversible, take the impossible into I am possible. Right? And you know what? I'd give her a little push and then I leave her alone.
Can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, anybody who's been here, do you see the change in her?
Thank
Right.
you, guys.
So she's no longer scared to use her voice, to have somebody tell her that, be quiet. Or that she's no longer scared to make a mistake. Because I make mistakes all day long. The bigger your dream, the more you're going to make mistakes and understand something. But keep making those mistakes, because then when you really get that perfected, guess what? You'll be bored, and then you'll look for something else to screw up. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. And I know you are a big part of it. You are.
Thank you, guys.
Next. Here, Lorraine. Now, you want to talk about big changes, and you want to talk about stubborn. Oh, hi, Lorraine.
Yeah, he just about had to blow me out of the water to get me to do what I wanted to do.
She was doing our consultations, and I said, look, if you're not going to start loving yourself more, I apologize, but you have no longer consultations with us. I took her down, didn't I?
You did?
That wasn't a punishment. I said, I need you loving yourself. She wasn't messing up the consultations. I needed to do something because I wanted her to love her life.
Yeah. And I wasn't loving my life or myself or a lot of things.
I said, love your life, you're back up. Don't love me, love your life.
Yeah, and I was very stubborn.
No, she wasn't. The belief systems were very stubborn that she had.
I was very programmed.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
go ahead, I'll be quiet.
Okay. So I grew up
Keep it nice and close, okay, love?
Okay. I grew up in a family of 8 children. There was 10 years between the oldest and the youngest. And my mom had 2 miscarriages and no double births. And I was number 4, and I was born 10 and a half months after my sister. I was premature. And I tried to opt out, I'm going to say. I must have heard something, or I don't know, but I definitely tried to opt out. So I was an emergency birth. And growing up in a family that's big like that, there's a lot of commotion all the time, and I lost my voice. I really did. I was sexually abused at a very young age, and I'm sure that's where I lost my voice. And then after that, talking to men, even people that I loved, I really struggled getting my voice, and I would shake, even while talking to Daryl, talking to even the consults, and I think that was probably the biggest thing, is that I wasn't portraying somebody who had.
I called her up and I said, Lorraine, you know everything, but you get on there and your voice is quivering. And I said, the people you're consulting, they hear this, and then they think you know nothing when you know it all. And she does. She knows the whole nutritional thing. She knows the whole symptomatic thing. She knows the domino effect of disease, how to get back to health. She knows it all. She does her homework. She researches. She goes hard at it. And then it's, hi, I'm Lorraine. Well, right away, boom, you know? So you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
You tell that person to start loving themselves and honoring themselves, and now you never quiver, do you?
No, I got this.
Yeah, the quivering was just a program, and do you know what the program was? She wasn't quivering because she was scared. She was quivering because so that she didn't get sexually or physically abused. I'm already hurting. Go find someone else to hurt. So she took it into every part of her life, because where is safety? Where is peace? We don't know. So if you're not sure, then just quiver. Maybe they'll leave me alone.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. Exactly what I did. I would back down from any negativity, because I didn't want to have to deal with it, because I couldn't. I just couldn't. But
what I told her was, with the first time she took the course, I said, now you've got all these strategies, but you're not changing your life. So you're learning all these strategies to come up against a life that is continually draining you.
True. Yeah. It's so much better now.
I'm going to go take these courses so that I can bring up my vibration, so that I can deal with family and friends that are going to bring me down. What?
Yeah. But it wasn't until, well, actually, the first course, when you asked us to introduce ourselves and say why did we come here, and my answer was, I want more. And my heart and soul, I wanted more from me. And it wasn't until we got into the course that I realized that I was lacking a lot more than what I thought I was.
See, what you think is normal, I mean, everybody here thinks they have a normal life. They think they have a lovely family. I'm not saying you don't. Understand something. We are infinite light energy beings. we haven't even scratched the surface of our potential. I haven't scratched the surface of mine. Why do you think I walk up front here in power? Not to overpower you. To empower that which is the invisible part of me. Don't ever dishonor that.
Yeah, a lot of really good lessons. The third time I took the whole life coach was where the magic happened for me. I mean, I was progressing, but I still wasn't getting the strides that I wanted. And we did a meditation, and I saw this little girl, and she had one of those billows for making the fire get bigger. And she was just saying, "Come on, Lorraine, the spark's there, come on, we can do this." And then after that, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Yeah. Yeah.
You're brilliant.
Thank you.
You are. You have to take a mic if you're, please, thank you.
I just want to say in relation to Lorraine, I remember when I got here in, I got here in August, but when we did the course in October, the first one, the difference was absolutely phenomenal. And this is what we're noticing with everybody that comes through. Yeah. It does not matter what the difference is. There is a visible change in everyone and an emotional change. Everybody, I'm not kidding. It is the most fabulous experience ever. And Lorraine is just a completely different person from a few months back.
Thank
I know
God.
I am too, but yeah, well done. Well done.
What about you?
Alrighty then. Hello. Okay, well, I was sick for 30 years, many autoimmune disorders, and became bedridden 3 years ago. Body went into spasms and said, "Romana, you're not listening to me. I don't know what else to do. I'm going to put you down." So I then went and did all the tests, etc., and all those silly doctors as usual. I'd seen like 50 different doctors and so-called specialists over the last 20 years, and none of them could do anything. So I decided to do some experimenting on my own, and then of course COVID came along, and that's when, about 2.5 years ago, I saw one of Daryl's videos pop up. And that changed my entire life for the better. I can't believe where I've come from to where I am now. It just blows my mind how incredible it is. And every day there's an improvement, whether it's a health improvement or a mental improvement. I was married for 35 years. He asked for a divorce in an email the day I arrived here on the 10th of August. And it's been tough, but I accept it now, and I'm totally moving forward. That part of my life was wonderful, but it's over. And now my new part of my life with learning, and whoever my next beau will be, but being here and helping people heal and get through what I have been through from completely being unable to move. Anyone can do it if you want to. If you want it, but you're the only one that can do it. So take it on board if that's what you feel is right for you. But it's the best thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm looking forward to just moving onward and upward and helping people learn how to heal themselves.
When did you start consults?
It was probably about a year ago, I was just doing some on my own, but that Daryl obviously knew nothing about that. I'd done 2 years of study online with his works.
She studied everything online because she couldn't get here, and then started doing the consultations on her own. What a fraud.
And you know, even I remember one lady in particular, she was a Papua New Guinean, because I was living in Papua New Guinea with my husband on a yacht. And she had said to me, Romana, I've been in Australia, I've gotten all the tests, I don't know what else to do. I've got all these symptoms. She came and saw me, and back then my process took 3 hours rather than 1. But she couldn't believe it. In 2 weeks, she'd already reduced all of her symptoms. She had severe lymphedema and other issues starting to come up. And she said, Romana, you're the only one. In 2 weeks, my symptoms were already starting to improve. So I knew what I was doing, and I knew that I would be bigger and better than anything that I'd ever done before. And then I came here. So 2 years online training, coming here, meeting with Daryl like 2.5 weeks after I arrived, because I was the first wolfer here, and I'm very proud of that actually. Left everything and everyone behind, but I have not one regret. And this person next to me, I know that he doesn't like us to praise him or anything like that, but if it wasn't for Daryl, I would not be sitting here right now. I would have gone on to my next life, because my husband was my life. I didn't love myself. I didn't even know that's what we were supposed to do. But now I do, and I come first above anything and anyone. So, and now I've done, with Daryl, I'm on his site. I now have the access for the Perfect Day consults. I've done at least 30 already in the past couple of months.
And what is that?
And I'm nailing it.
And let me tell you something. Once you start doing consults for me, we will teach you how to be a practitioner. If you do it on your own, it'll take you 2 to 3 years. You're with me, 6 months. 6 months. And you're going to find out real fast that lack of confidence is in the garbage. You're going to find out that people are going to tell you, I've been everywhere, done everything, and thank God for you. That's right. 22 days. You could be doing consultations on the 23rd day and knock it out of the park better than anybody else. It's only lack of confidence that you're not. It takes 3 times and you're like, you know, you've got yourself, you own yourself, and that's it. You're done. You're done. Are you done?
Not quite.
Then keep talking.
I have to say that I was really in a space of awe recently when Daryl rang me and said, Romana, I have someone I would like you to do a consult for. And I was just like, yes, I've done it. He has my complete and utter trust to do this for me. And I mean, I say for me, it's actually for the patient, of course, but the amount of confidence that I already had just went up 1,000%, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I appreciate you 1,000%. Thank you. Marina. She wouldn't have came unless I called her name. What a shame.
The self-love thing is massive. The whole bullshit story never would have happened in my life. I would have never attracted predators, manipulators, any of that. And when we first did this mirror work, I just thought, whatever. Ego sat up there, and it was unbelievably one of the most difficult things I've ever done. And just to crack open the self-love, and just your whole life just takes off. I mean, it really, we should be, little kids should be doing this before anything else. none of this shit in this world would be going on if people came from a place of self-love. So life is great. I'm on my 3rd go around. Within 10 days, my daughter and I were driving from northern British Columbia back to our hometown, and she goes, let's go to Mexico, because the Vax Pass was coming. I'm like, okay. So 10 days we parachuted in here, and we're now permanent residents. Her dad doesn't know that yet, so I think we might be live. Oh, shit. Anyways, life is great. I'm so appreciative of you and your gifts that you're teaching us.
Yeah.
It's life-changing, so jump in. Don't hesitate. Don't be stubborn like I was. You got this.
You got it. Sandra? Come sit there, you're next.
Hello, my name was Lack of Confidence.
Now, yeah, do you guys understand we're going to give you different stories, but everybody's got a different story. Do you know why the stories are different? Because they had different parents, who had different parents, who had different religions, who had different schools, who watched different TV movies. Go.
That's the story. No. Yeah, I just came from such a lack of confidence, being convinced of failure. I can remember I actually applied to university, and they sent back something that I had done wrong, and I tried to phone them, and then everything went wrong, and I was just completely destroyed by it. I had, why didn't I just go to a friend and ask a question? But nope, so I didn't go to university because of that. Problems with an application. Who doesn't have problems with an application every once in a while, right? Yeah, so I had taken a PTT, personal treatment and training, in January of 19, and then a couple of months later.
Can we tell them what that is? So just so you know, personal treatment and training is, she decided to come down and she wanted to learn how to do the non-surgical. So we would get someone to sit on the chair, someone to lay on the mat, and then Sage taught her how to do the technique, and then he did the technique on her, and then she did the technique on Sage. That's not a certification, but the personal treatment and trainings, there's 6 different ones, and we're going to be going through those this week. And the perfect pain-free pregnancy should be done in about 4 months. That'll be the biggest one. This one has taken thousands of hours to put together, and anybody who takes the course, I'm going to give it to you as a gift. You just need to follow that, and you'll be able to, you'll be the leaders when it comes to self-love and care for the couple, for themselves and each other, and how to have the healthiest baby in the world. And we are bringing out the first program of its kind, and you will be teaching the husband or the partner how to actually do the non-surgical, and you'll be teaching about coffee enemas, vaginal infusions, the diet, how to actually, a year before you get pregnant, what you should be doing, all the way through there, through pregnancy, and then up to 2 years age of the child. We will have the whole thing laid out. We will have all the stumbling blocks and all of the tripwires that are there to actually poison the family. I said poison the family. We have to go back here, because it's not the children we need to fix. It's the couple before they have them. And that's it. And nobody's ever put a program like that before. It already is our biggest program. We get more personal treatment and trainings for that than we do for the non-surgical work or the emotional work or the couples work. It's our biggest, and it will be our biggest. Listen, when I get this manual done, you already know the things, but I will have put it in like 1, 2, buckle your shoe. You'll be busy forever. They come to you for 10 days, okay? All right? They spend approximately $8,000 to $10,000 coming to you, and they have everything they need when they leave. They do not need to go to see anybody else unless it's an emergency. For the first time, that couple in their life will know that it's self-love, shine the light on your partner, come together as spirit beings, and then create a little spirit that it comes here to show you your dysfunction. When you have a child, that child mirrors your dysfunction. Instead of punishing it, you will honor it and respect it, and you will get down and you will bow down to that child, because that's the gift from God to show you how to find your child. I wish I had that. And that's why we have to deliver it. People will want it, and trust me, young couples will want it, because they will not want to repeat the family curse. Go ahead, Sandra.
Yeah, so personal treatment training, January of 19. March of 19, an older friend of mine that I had met in Arizona actually passed away. And when I got the full details, they said, well, we don't really understand this, but the doctor said she had scar tissue from a surgery, and something happened and the scar tissue just started growing, and she's gone now.
And it wrapped around her intestines and choked her intestines off, and she dies. Every woman in here, every man in here has adhesions in their abdomen and pelvis. That's it. And if you've had a cesarean, appendix, gallbladder, or any other surgery, you have to see a non-surgical therapist, that's us, after it heals. Because the body overcompensates and leaves adhesions, and the physical block cuts off the oxygen, the nutrition, and it continually creates inflammation. They know this. So go and get surgery, get the scar tissue cut out, and you'll have twice as much in 3 years from the surgery. Surgery causes more scar tissue than anything else you'll ever do, and it creates these bands that choke off everything. Choke off your organs, stiffness in your joints. They choke off your digestion, your assimilation, your elimination, okay? And if you've had a cesarean or you've had any operations in your pelvis, even making love becomes painful. So understand something. It's a scar tissue issue, and you need to get this. If you get to know your craft, you'll have to turn business away. I hope you know. We can't keep up right now. We need an army right now. We can't keep up. Everybody's going, please, please, please. You know, anybody's been here, they're trying to get treatments done by the therapists I have. And other people who are flying down here aren't taking the course, are here for treatments. We don't have enough people. Go ahead.
So then it was, okay, well, I have to figure out how to teach this then, right? We all have a sphere of influence, and I have to figure out how to teach this. So immediately it's like, oh, well, I don't know how I'm going to do that, right? Anyway, so they spent the summer on Facebook, and the mantra that you said was, I can teach anybody. Anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. And I don't know how many times I heard that summer until I finally went, I think I can do this. And I phoned and signed up for the first course in November of 19. November of 19, and then nothing until October, November 2020, January of this, a year ago. We're February now. Time flies when you're having fun. And my brain just went fart, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. And then, you know what? The programming is so strong, right? Come 3 times and you become a master practitioner. You better be committed to your process, and you better be committed to you and whatever you need, because I could have gone back into failure to say, okay, I just don't got it yet. But you know what? I just didn't have it yet. And I knew this summer when he's talking about coming down, I thought, oi, 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 it's all going to be for naught. It'll all just be a lot of expensive entertainment that I went through, because I know I don't have it just yet. And I knew I had to be in the environment to really soak through.
Yeah, but she did tell me she was coming.
Yeah, there's more to the story. I'm making it sound good.
I'll let you tell the rest of the story. Go ahead, come on.
Yeah, I signed up and de-signed up a couple of times. There was a
De-signed up?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
It's a new word.
Yeah,
Facebook, it's a new word. So there was a container coming down. Yep, I phoned. Yep, I'm in. I'll send all my practitioner equipment there. It'll go down. Then I phoned. Nope, I can't. I'm coming up against this decision and I'm freaking out. And you're like, okay. And then it came time to what's end of July, August. Yep, I'm gonna figure out how to get there, and I just didn't want to be without a job and get to the border and something go wrong. So I was trying to figure out a way to be here and then quit. So I was just busy, going around in this little loop. And then I'm having fun, aren't I? And then in the last few days, I was at home. I had quit my 6-figure job, which was, a lot of security. It was shift work, so it was basically killing me as I went to work, right? It was highly toxic people and just in toxic environment. And then so I'm at home in Red Deer, and I called him up. No, I can't go, because what if my niece and nephew get sick? If all I can do is drag my vitamin D light over to the house and shine it on them, then that's what I'll do, Like, I'm not their parent. I wasn't responsible for them. I love them dearly. They love me. But, it's just whatever story can get you off the hook or get you thinking that it's something else. It's not really you. It's not really that you're scared. It's something else. So you just tell yourself a story. So then he got another phone call to say, tickets are booked. I'm coming.
So she's here.
So I'm here.
So do you miss the 6-figure job?
No.
How's life here?
Life's pretty dreamy.
Huh?
Life's pretty dreamy. I mean, sometimes it's like you're doing 7 days a week and you don't really get time to sit on your butt, and I don't miss it. I don't miss it. I love being here. And I don't think I could ever go back to shift work nights and having 7 days to do nothing. That was just 7 days of ugh, and then pick yourself back up, because you got to be fit for duty for work, right? So then it'd be a day and a half of, okay, get your stuff back together, get your head back together. So life was just sort of like this.
And if I would have told her that 2 years ago you'll actually be showing people how to truly live and love themselves, she wouldn't be able to digest it.
No.
It wouldn't have come in.
No.
Because it just can't.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to do it myself. How could I help others?
Yeah.
So depending on how deep the dysfunctional beliefs run and how many you have will depend on the hell that you create.
Yeah. So the simple steps of the Braveheart loving steps. I think a lot of people will say, well, that's just not sophisticated enough. I'm a professional. I'm a this, I'm a that. And that's fine. If you're going to opt out of that, then that's fine. But the mirror work, the oath, letting yourself off the hook, and that takes a bit. You need to go through those first few steps for a bit until you really get it good. But if you can let yourself off the hook, even halfway or even 3/4 of the way, you've unlocked yourself just to go farther and faster and quicker, and you get there, and then it's so easy to let everybody else off the hook when you've let yourself off the hook. It's just not a problem. Other people aren't the problem, right? So you love yourself enough to let yourself off the hook. You then let everyone else off the hook, and then you can dive in to probably the most important part of the self-loving steps, which is 11 and 12. So map out your dramas and your traumas, your good times and your bad times, and go through them. Over time, we repeat, and small little things 10, 15 years later are, I never thought that was the problem, but that was the problem. That event was so huge in my life. No, it actually wasn't. You just repeated it and screwed it up and changed the story so many times. So that's what your brain did, right? Because it needs to keep you in the same belief systems you have, because your subconscious mind doesn't like change, and it says, I have to keep her in the state she's in or she might die, right? So the subconscious goes to work and takes these little small things and turns them into mountains. So anyways, it's step 11 is map it all out. You can figure out what it really is, just a teeny little bump. And the big ones will be identified. And these self-loving steps of mapping it out and loving yourself lets you get so close to your dramas and traumas. You will know it. You will know that dramatic moment. You will know that trauma inside and out, and you will be able to let go of it. So that's the story. That's the story. This 12 loving steps work. The mirror work works. And if little old farm bumpkin Sandra can make it through, people, I think just about anybody else could make it through.
Hey, Sandra, could you let everybody here know, and this goes to the men, especially the guys that are watching Facebook, that they think that this is some frou-frou stuff and, you know, it's not for a guy. What did you do for a living?
I was a heavy equipment operator.
What does that mean?
Drive?
What did you drive?
I drove one of the largest haul trucks in the world, a Caterpillar 797.
And if she has the balls to be here, I think every other man should have the balls to be here as well.
Hi, sweetie.
Gotta get comfy here. My name is Cheryl, and let's start it already.
You're doing great. You're doing great. Doing great.
So I was the mouse in the house. I was the quiet one, and I grew up in a family that was overly loud. And I believe that over that time, I chose to tune it out. So I am now hearing impaired, which I'm changing. I've aborted the protocol, and I'm going to be doing the protocol. So along my life's journeys, believe I've run a lot in a flight mode. And during the first training, Gary happened to mention something about him being in flight mode. And then I realized that, like, holy shit, I moved like 33 times in 7 years. And I'm like, what am I running from? When I started actually gardening in BC, I actually kind of started to ground myself at that point, and I think it's because I was actually literally grounding myself with the plant material and working in the soil. So I kind of started to mellow and relax, and actually stayed in one spot for a period of time. And then I had family issues come up, and my sister gave birth, and she had preemies, and she was having a divorce at that point, and I was like, okay, I had to go home to help her with the kids. So I flew all the way back. Well, actually, I drove back. My 2 dogs and me in the car, driving for hours. I get back, I'm living in her basement, and I was just like, did not want to be there at all. I was seeing the dysfunction that she was experiencing. My parents were still facing a lot of dysfunction at that point, and my father and I were definitely on the outs. We had different visions of my life. Then I eventually moved out of there and moved into a corporate job, which I thought was going to solve all my problems in life. And that corporate job turned out to suck the life out of me. I gained a severe amount of weight. I was depressed. I was angry. I was completely not functioning at a fun level at all. And I walked in 13 years into the job. I was running a 200-acre cemetery, and I was in charge of 57 people. So it was a bit of a lot of work. And after 13 years, I walked in and had this little pink slip handed to me, and I was laid off. And I was basically let go for, I was no longer a corporate fit. And I think that put me into the biggest tailspin I've ever been in, because I really related a lot of myself to my job. And now I call it a job. It wasn't my career. It wasn't where I wanted to be. And hindsight, I went back into the gardening end of it, grounded myself again, started working on my own health. I started going through keto diets and different types of diets here and there. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, didn't want to take the drugs. I'm like, no, I'm finding a natural solution to this. Eventually, through my journey, I ran into one of Daryl's videos and I went, man, this makes sense. So on a plane, here I am. I was coming for one course, by the way, and completed my third. So I'm still here. And now I'm getting that imagination going and knowing I can do it.
So when are you going to start consulting?
I have 2 in the hopper right now.
Really?
I do. We can do them for a teaching.
What?
We can do them for a teaching.
Okay, we'll do it.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be here all week.
I'll be here all week, people.
Yeah. So
Beautiful.
I'm excited to have Bitchute.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then guess what? 3, 4, 10, 100, 1,000. That's where you're going to go.
Yep.
Okay? Up,
Yeah.
up, and away.
Yep.
All right.
I actually have a non-surgical patient too.
Beautiful.
Yep.
And remember something, and I do mean this, and anybody who's here, all you got to do is tell me what your dreams are, and I'll do my best to help you. That's it. Okay? This isn't about take a course and see you later. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you want, because I've already got everything I want.
I think that was my biggest hurdle, actually.
What's that?
My imagination and not knowing what I wanted.
I know, when you say that to people, what do you really want? I want to be happy. Well, what is that? What does it look like to you? I don't know.
Yep.
That's right, because you were told to stop daydreaming.
I'm daydreaming every day now.
Yeah. Hey, sweetie. Sharon? I'm trying to find a story that matches yours, okay? Hold on here, this could be it.
Oh, wow. You know, I listen to these stories, and my name is Sharon, by the way, and this is number 6 for me. So I'm well on my way to be a master trainer. Yes, and this is my passion and my purpose, absolutely, hands down. When I listen to people's stories, I think to myself, how can I actually make it short? It's not so easy for me to expose myself in this way. And I've had so many profound treatments, and something really profound, which I'll touch on at the end of my story here, that just happened 2 weeks ago. But I was born into a family. I was the youngest of 8. And the dysfunction within the household was really strong and true. It was a Catholic family. My mom had 6 boys, and I was after 14 years, she had me. So my mom had 5 boys, and she had my sister, then she had my brother, who was 18 months older than me, and then myself. My sister was 5 when I was born, and really the underlying need to be accepted really started in the womb, because my mother didn't want another child. And she said there was never an unwanted baby, but there was lots of unwanted pregnancies. And so I was born into this household of complete dysfunction. I grew up in a situation where I felt that men did not have feelings. It was really prevalent. We went to church every Sunday, but we never came home and talked about anything spiritual. We, said grace, but there was no spirituality in the house. I mean, I had a brother that would, chase me down the street. The only reason I survived was because I ran faster, and he would find my dad's toolbox right by his little tool purse, actually, by the back door, and he would grab a hammer or whatever it was as I was being chased down the block. And he would throw these things at me, and I would have to zigzag to make sure that I didn't get hit with something. And, there was many times when he, abused me in many levels. And so I couldn't speak out to my father because then I would just get it when my dad wasn't around. So I realized very quickly that you just kind of try to, and my problem was that I was born this little cutesy little girl, and my sister wasn't the cutesy girl, and so that didn't really mix well within the household either, so she didn't care for me much at all. And so then I realized as time went on that I became really feisty, and I became really verbal, because that was the only way I could fight back. And so then as my journey went on, I had stomach issues. I remember not being able to wear any kind of elastic band pants or anything because it would give me a stomach ache. Well, of course I had a stomach ache because I couldn't digest things because I was holding so much tension and anger within myself. So when I was 12, I ended up having my first and only appendix attack the night before a really dramatic event in our family. It was my second oldest brother's wedding, and I decided to do the thing that many women do, is sit in silence and suffer, and almost lost my life over it. So I ended up with my first infection and so many antibiotics that it was crazy. So I went forward with that and ended up before my daughter was born, I ended up with 3 miscarriages because, of course, I had all these yeast infections and all these infections because my stomach had filled full of infection at the age of 12, and I was given so many antibiotics that it just scarred me all up. And so I had many yeast infections, so many antibiotics, and my digestive system just deteriorated and deteriorated. The good thing was that when I was 25, I discovered organics, and I ate a lot of organic food and ate fairly well, but I was still eating meats and things. So then when I finally conceived my daughter, I had a decent pregnancy and realized, well, when we stepped back, the reason that I had all the miscarriages was because I was pooping in my pelvis, and my large intestine was just emitting so many toxins within my body that there's no way that I could carry a child. But what happened was I ended up going to a naturopath doctor, and we ended up addressing the yeast that was gone rampant in my body to a certain extent. And I went off sugars, I didn't have any alcohol, and I just ate super clean, and I think that was the only reason that I was able to carry her. The story didn't end there because I ended up with a pregnancy that was beautiful, and then the delivery wasn't so wonderful, and then I ended up with staph infection in my uterus. So then I ended up with another life-threatening infection, antibiotic therapy, like crazy. So and then my relationship with my husband was not the best. So I then ended up with a hearing issue because they had given me a drug called gentamicin, but the problem was that it wasn't really the gentamicin. I was already inflamed because I didn't want to hear my husband speak. And he, I'm sure, didn't want to hear me speak. And so it inflamed my ears so badly that within a year I had lost all my bass tone hearing, and the buildup of calcification in behind my ears on my skull was horrendous, and I never even discovered that until I met Daryl and recognized those components associated with inflammation and displaced calcium. So as I went through this, then my marriage, of course, broke up with my daughter's father, and I proceeded to have probably 10 relationships since then. And always seeking something, and it just never seemed to work out. I wanted this like happily ever after movement, but never could reach that. But I was consistently trying to eat well, and I started a business in 2010 called Live Fit Live Food, and I was in partnership with a fellow that was an amazing fellow, not a relationship. And it was about live enzymes, it was about breath work, it was about loving yourself, but not the unconditional love. It was about emotions to a certain extent. But the missing component was the scar tissue and displaced calcification. In 2003, I ended up getting, my life was a basic shit show in my relationship world and everything, and I ended up losing my I lost my job, then I lost my relationship, and then I got injured on Valentine's Day all in 3 weeks. So I was flat on my back and had an injury in my spine. I corkscrewed my lower spine at the third lumbar, right at the sacrum, and I was thrown in bed. My daughter was 9, and so now I was sitting here in this situation. And the reason that that happened was because I was still pooping in my pelvis, and I deteriorated L3, L4 of my lower lumbar. And so then, of course, with all the emotional components associated with my life, now it's Valentine's Day, and now I can't even stand up. It was, I wanted, I kept saying that I wanted to have an endorphin-like rush because I would exercise all the time and everything, but it was actually an adrenaline rush that I needed. Because my life was just this dramatic mess, like crazy. Like, who could even write this stuff, man? You can't. And then it's like Valentine's Day, and I'm like laying here, and I'm looking at all these people walking by my window, and my daughter's like in tears, and I couldn't even comfort her because I couldn't even sit up long enough because the pain was so unbelievable that it was just crazy. And and I'm trying to comfort her, and she's busy telling me, I used to have a mummy that ran around and played tag with me all the time, and now I have a mummy that lies in bed all day. At least I had the wherewithal to get her in counseling so that she didn't end up in an anger situation, and she's an amazing mother, expecting her second child right now, and she has a 3.5-year-old, and she does not have 1 ounce of anger in her, and she has many reasons to be, including a father that was never there for her. But, so I'm very proud of that fact. I managed to do that. I have no idea how. So anyways, but the underlying thing was that I had such tenacity, and I wouldn't give up because I knew what feeling good felt like to a certain extent. And so I wouldn't give up on this injury, and it took me 5 years to walk with a proper stride. I used a doctor of Chinese medicine. He put more needles in me than you could ever imagine. I did herbs and things, and I managed to get walking. But then I still had a lot of issues, and emotionally as well as physically. But my underlying thing was that when I was in high school, I studied the anatomy, and I fell in love with the human body. And I knew at that point that there was some way that I was going to be in a situation where I was going to be a leader within the health. And I studied natural health because of my journey, and because of the fact that, I had this situation when I was 12, and then all these other issues, and, all these, infections and surgeries and all these different things that ended up happening, all based on an emotional component, hands down. And I knew that this was going to be my journey in some respect. I just didn't know what it was. And because I still needed to heal myself. Before I discovered Dr. Wolf, or Daryl Wolf, I had such calcification across my neck, and I stretched every day, and I was eating all the best food, but my digestion was horrible. I had diarrhea for like 2 years. And I just couldn't, it didn't matter what I ate, it was gassy, it didn't matter how many organics I ate, or fruits, or vegetables, or whatever it was, I just couldn't resolve this issue. And it was like I ended up going through, of course, the medical world, because I really needed to resolve this. And I had, the Chinese medicine wasn't working, naturopathy wasn't working, so they discovered that I had microscopic colitis. Like, what the hell is that?
Means you gotta look twice.
Yeah, exactly. So then when I discovered Daryl Wolf in October of 2020, I was like, I actually was put onto Daryl Wolf from a truth seeker because I had joined all these groups because of this whole mess that we're in. And she said, you know what, Sharon, you are just so involved in health and whatnot that you need to listen to Daryl Wolf. He's just amazing. You could just love him. Well, I mean, like, I listened to him, like, for, I don't even know if it was even an hour. And I was like, I was phoning his office, and I was signing up for his course. And I listened to every single one of his videos. I had those earbuds on for 8-10 hours a day. I was writing stuff down because I love the body, and I love health, and my passion is figuring this all out. And I just was like absorbing this like you wouldn't believe. Listen to all the 12 loving steps, just the A to Z Wellness, rewrote it, had notebooks after notebooks, because I need to write things down in order for myself to remember them, because I need to have a visual. And so I listened to it and I go, oh, that's like so cool. And that's what I would run into the house and say, hey, you gotta like really think this, you know, everybody be like, okay, like really? So I signed up for the course. I started my first course in January of 2020. That's where I met beautiful Todd. Yeah. There was 8 of us because it was lockdown. And I met Sandra at that time too, wherever you are.
That's when the lockdown and everybody was freaked out because everybody believed it, right? So we'd pick everybody up down at the corner, and then we'd, okay, hit the door lock. So the garage door would go up, the van would go in, door come down, people come out. There's nobody in here. We had, the next course, we had 30 people in the house and bylaws on the door. And I go upstairs and go, how you doing, guys? We were told there's lots of people in here. And I go, there's no cars out here, it's just us.
Yeah?
We'll be watching.
Yeah.
So,
oh, it was hilarious. So it was a small group, and I met Todd there, I met Sandra, and I met Violetta. And I believe Violetta was doing her 3rd course at the time, and Sandra, not sure what number she was on. I think 4 or something. Anyways, it was a great class. It was small. And, you know, here I thought I was like in control of, whatever. Come in, bebop-dee, because my anxiety just sitting right under the surface, not realizing that it was. And Daryl, of course, saw right through that. And so did that course. I think I was up all night, like every night, doing the body work, because I had mass, like it was like the loose bowels did not quit. And I was like getting treatments. I was trying to resolve this. I was on the marriage and I was doing the course. It's like I had all this stuff going on for me. It was pretty crazy. But I went home and I opened up a practice because I knew that this was what I was meant to be. And I started working on people, and it was the best thing that I could have done. And still studied every night, just absorbed, listened to Daryl, everything I could get my hands on, I listened to it. I studied the manuals, and then I started doing perfect day consults. Then I took the second course in, and it was during...
So first course, she opens up a place.
Yeah, yeah.
So fear can work for you. Desperation can work for you.
Yeah.
It can work for you. Just put it into action. But wait until she takes the second course. Tell them the story.
Yeah. Yeah, numero dos. Yeah, the second course I took in June of, it's just so hard to believe that this was just like last year, 2021. And so I go to the second course, and I've been doing a lot of cleansing, a lot of, the program, and just really working on it. And I had a nebulizer, and I was using this nebulizer that had silver bullet solution in it, along with the nanofulvic eye drops. And so I was using it on my eyes, and then I was using it on my face. And so then when I arrived at the course, I was seeing, like, I kind of looked like a bit of like a clown, but I could see this, like, this chafing over around my mouth and around my nose and everything. And so it was like, it was really burning because it was like really hot, because toxins are hot, right? The inflammation coming out. And so I'm sitting there, and I couldn't find anything to put on it. I had C60, I had all this sort of stuff, and it wouldn't stop burning. So Daryl looks at me about the 3rd day into the course, and he goes, what's up with your face, Sharon? And I'm like,
well, it looked like a snake face. I had to say something.
Well, yeah,
I mean, the whole neighborhood was talking.
The whole class was talking.
No, but it really did look like, yeah.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. It was completely shaved, and it was just on fire.
She goes, why is my face doing this? And I said, that's what happens when you put on a face your whole life. When you put on a fake face. Now you're going deeper, and it's got to peel off. It's got to come off. Go ahead, tell the rest.
Yeah. So he says, and at that time I was clapping and things, but I was still I would call myself a clapper wimp. I would kind of like, I'd do it, but I wasn't going for it. So he goes, well, you need to go, and he said, you need to clap your face.
Until the pus and it starts to bleed a little bit.
You actually didn't say that.
I did say the pus.
Did you say the pus?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was already
But you didn't
pussing.
say-
I said, get it going.
So he says you need to clap at least 10 minutes on this
Yeah.
side and 10 minutes on this side, okay? So I only heard
Like
what I
I
wanted
said,
to hear, right? I think I
Clap,
exnate the pus.
clap aggressively.
Yeah.
Like this.
Oh, yeah.
With
Yeah.
the clapper, which we'll
Yeah.
be doing tomorrow, okay? Clapping and belly button, we'll do that tomorrow. And I say, clap aggressively. And she's like, really? And I go,
I get
yeah,
out the
go
clapper,
do
he's
it.
like, no. And I think my subconscious mind exnate the pus thing because I just probably didn't want to hear that. So I actually didn't hear it.
Well, that's because it was already coming out.
Yeah,
It was already-
exactly.
It was
And I-
already oozing.
So anyway, so I go upstairs because the place that he was holding the course, we were staying upstairs. And so I go upstairs and of course me, because somebody gives me a challenge and I'm going to I'm doing it, man. So I got my timer on, 10 minutes, and I'm up there just clapping away and the tears are rolling down my face. And it wasn't like it hurt. It's just like it was releasing emotion. So I'm clapping and clapping. Okay, bing, that's done. Get to the other side and I'm like clapping away. Tears are coming out. And then it was like, I was like, okay, then the time was up and I look at the clapper and I'm like, what's that on the clapper? And I go like this. And my face was like weeping. It was like on fire. It was like, oh my gosh, it was like sticky. And I was like, well, meltdown time. And so anyways, I had this like complete breakdown. Phone Lori next door. I'm like, Lori, she's like, come over. It sounded like, sound like just murdered myself. And so anyways, over I go. And she's like, it's fine. It's like, okay, it's okay. And I'm, of course. So then she gave me this mystery aloe vera lotion. Okay, so that process, and so I had a peel off. I had a major peel off. Like my face peeled, and it was at times even that wasn't even resolving it as far as the heat. The heat that came out of there and the pus and the everything, it was like, but you could...
Don't want to cut you off, but this is it. Go ahead. Suppress it. Okay? Put on a false face. Suppress your emotions. Okay? And see what happens. Well, she'll tell you what happens.
Oh yeah, suppress the emotions. It was unbelievable, actually, and the heat that was emitted from it, and the suppression and the amount of peeling. I mean, you've never seen a face peel so many times, but you could see right away that underneath the wrinkle, everybody was in class because they're all trying to make me feel better. That afternoon, I was under the Bioptron for the rest of the afternoon because I just couldn't, handle it. So the next day, everybody in the class was saying, Sharon, but you know what? Underneath that, it is beautiful. The skin looks beautiful. And I'm like, yes. And so it basically peeled off. And it peeled off. We do hold so many emotions in the face. And I was a master at it right from birth. Right from birth, putting on this face, trying to be accepted by this family that, they didn't even accept themselves. And so how could they accept me? And so I was continually trying to be accepted by this family. And I let my family go, in September of 2019. I just let them go. I mean, I had to. I mean, it was, and I let them go in a loving way, and I still, have some communication with my mother and things, but it's all good. I mean, I'm on my journey. So that was course number 2. And then I went back and continued my practice. I worked on people with scoliosis of the spine, a young woman that she was a chiropractor assistant for 7 years.
So she's a chiropractor assistant, and nobody can fix her.
Yeah.
For 7 years.
Yeah.
And then she comes to the snake woman, okay?
Yeah, the snake woman. Yeah, exactly. And she comes to me, and she was a tough cookie because she had this whole program going on as far as the chiropractor world. And, so she wanted to believe it because she wanted to get results. And so this part of her logical mind was saying yay, but the other part was kind of saying nay. And so anyways, so we had a brief discussion before I started it. Well, and she had wonderful pictures because she'd taken so many images of her spine. And so she had double S, had it since she was 14. And she was she'd had it for 21 years. And so, but in her world, when she got that, her world was really it was an emotional nightmare as far as what was going on in her life. So that was why it ended up happening. And 2 treatments, already straightening it up. You could already see the fold coming up And she was just over the moon, and tried to show her the chiropractor that she worked for, but the chiropractor said, well, it's not going to hold. So, like, and then I came to Mexico. A hiatal hernia client or patient that she hadn't burped in 10 years where it hadn't burnt her esophagus. The first treatment already gave her relief. The second treatment got her to like 70%, and the third treatment, 95%. She was just over the moon. They'd taken her gallbladder out, and she'd had 3 hip replacements, 2 on one side and 1 on the other. I mean, how is a gallbladder removal going to help a hiatal hernia? And I managed to get her to do some changes within her diet, but she was just over the moon. And I mean, you know, and these are really, you know, this is how effective we can be. I mean, before I left, I was doing like 3,000 a week, and I wasn't even trying. That was between treatments, and I wasn't, you know, because I was getting ready to go to Mexico. I had a woman that she's pregnant, but she didn't have this surgery when she was pregnant, but she had cancer in the jaw, and she had part of her jaw removed, and they had skin grafted, like, from her arm in there and into her jaw and whatnot. And she said that there was so much pain in her jaw. I met her mother just weeks before I came down here to Mexico. And she said that she was just in so much pain that at times that she felt she wanted to cut the pain out of her jaw because it was just so much in her head. And she said, and I could relate to that because when I had my spinal injury, I felt the pain in the back of my teeth, and I knew what that felt like. And so I could relate to that. So I treated her twice before I left. The very first treatment gave her relief. She has not since to this day had that pain come back. And I only had an opportunity to treat her
It's all
twice.
scar tissue.
Yeah.
Once you get rid of the knot, you're not pushing on the nerve.
Yeah.
Do you know when they say you've got to have surgery because you have stenosis in your spine? One treatment, we've reversed it.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about one person here, everybody.
Yeah.
You better wake up to the fact that you're amazing. You better wake up to the fact that in 22 days from now, you're ready to open up a practice and be as good as or better than 95% of the people out there. Look at,
That's so true.
just because
So true.
most people don't believe it doesn't make it not true.
That's true. I mean, it's just believing in yourself, getting out of your own way. That's the problem here. It's not anything about what's going on out there because we can give these people relief. We can lead them on their way to health. We can lead them on their way to joy. We can lead them on their way.
Our job is to align
Yeah.
people on an emotional and physical level and let their body heal them.
Yeah.
Teach them the perfect day
Yeah.
from the minute they wake up until they go to bed on an emotional and physical level, and they will not be sick again. But they must do the 12 loving steps. They must do and embrace the detox on a physical and emotional level. Let me tell you, it takes a while. You know, I mean, the last class here, right?
Yeah.
The last class, 2
Yeah.
weeks ago. Daryl, you promised me to release my heart. And I go, it will get there, we'll get there. But then when I go in there and I feel it, I said to her when we did it here, remember, some of you were here, right? I asked her 3 times, are you sure you want me to release your heart? Why don't you tell them?
Yes.
Tell the newcomers.
So I came in, just to finish the story as far as the third course
Sure.
I did in October, and then I became a master practitioner, and then I did training in November, and then January I did my 5th whole life coach course, and so during the different meditations and things, and I knew that I had something underlying that was in my heart, that there was something. There was like a sensitivity there. There was something that was holding me back. And it came up on a few meditations where I felt like I was bumping up against things. And Daryl had already done 3 around the heart releases because he had never got onto my heart yet because I had so much calcification.
She wouldn't let me. I couldn't get in there. I started to go in there, and then we got this woman going,
Okay, come on now. Yes, so I wouldn't let him. And so I had been actually bugging him for 6 weeks in regards to a heart release because I knew that there was where I was going to let him get right on my heart, okay? So I wasn't going to go, wee, wee. So in the last class, this was the most brilliant experience in all of this journey that I've had as far as emotional releases and treatments that I've had, and yeah. So you kind of surprised me that day, because that day was a little bit of a crazy morning, and he said, "Okay, Sharon, we're going to do your heart release." So down I go, and he was thinking I was going to do the wah-wah thing and not be able to get close to my heart, so he was working around the solar plex area the first attempt. And then the second attempt, you were on my heart, and you worked there for a while, then I pushed him out because it was really tender. And then the third one, you felt that I was actually pushing you out.
The tender heart was the emotional part,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just sitting there under the surface. So Daryl had suspicions as to what he was facing, and I knew that I was facing something, but I wasn't sure what that was, because I'd never heard of this particular type of heart release before. And so he said, "Are you sure?" He asked me once, "Are you sure you're ready?" And I'm like, "Yes." And it was my 5th course. So I have done a lot of work. I've done a lot of the emotional work. I've done mirror work. I've done, I've opened up. I've had 9 abdominal treatments where I've had adhesions that have been wrapped around my transverse colon from my appendix that were attached onto my ribs. I mean, my sigmoid, I'm sure, is like one of the pictures there. So I've had a lot of treatments. I've had spinal treatments. I've had occiput treatment, lots of things, right? So, anyways, I've opened up a lot of blockages within my body over the last year, and it's been a beautiful journey. So then Daryl says to me, first time, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm sure." And he said, "Are you sure?" "Yes, I'm sure." "Are you absolutely sure?" And I said, "Yes." So I got into this meditative place, and I like to use the mantra, "Let it go, Sharon, let it go," because it really works for me. And I was just like, "Let it go, girl. You got this, girl." And so he went in, and then he was working around it, and it was really tender. And the tender part wasn't when your elbow dropped, but his elbow dropped, and it went about a half an inch. It felt more than a half an inch, actually. It just fell into my chest.
Her heart was frozen up against her ribs, so it wouldn't allow it to pump or beat properly. And so I'm working, and I can feel it stuck. And when it let go, I mean, if anybody was close enough, you saw my elbow drop right in between her ribs about this far. And I'm going to say that I wasn't scared, but it scared the crap out of me. That 1 second, I knew what happened, but I just went, whoa. Right? So what are you going to do with that when the heart's frozen and calcified with scar tissue and calcium right up against the ribs? Who's going to fix that? Heartbreaker. Okay. So anyways, but then I said to her, if you don't go home and stay away from people and only go to the beach for the next week to 10 days, you are so going to regret this. You have so much processing to do that if you go around people at all, this isn't going to work for you. You've got to be alone. I've just broke the wall, which means now you have a chance to take your heart back. You get to keep it. Didn't I say that?
Yeah, you did. And I'll tell you after that, and in nowhere, shape or form, was there ever any fear. I just want to make that really clear as far as myself goes. There was not one, even when his elbow dropped in, it felt like an egg cracked in my chest. It was like, and it was like, holy crap, what was that? It was like, and then so, I wish I would have had a video of it. I mean, I really do. But then what happened, what's that?
I don't want a video of it.
I want to really see your face. Yeah, and so nowhere, shape, or form I had any kind of fear. And then it was from that point, I felt like I was going to get sick. I felt like, and then Daryl, and then it was like my whole body went into confusion. It absolutely did. It was like the whole body just oh my gosh.
But I want you to understand, you're not going to come and get treatments from our people and they're going to do this.
No.
She has already taken the trainings many times. She understands it's upside down. I asked her 3 times, because what I felt in there, I knew her heart was gonna let go. The thing is this, when you become a practitioner, don't be over-zestful. Every knot you untie is an emotion.
Yeah.
You go and untie a dozen knots, you're gonna go have them home going, they can't process it.
Yeah.
You didn't just do physical work. Issues in the tissues, issues in the tissues. I'd rather you untie one knot and see how they are. Don't be overzealous, and we always gotta prove ourselves to everybody, don't we? In this work, you do a small area, you untie one knot, you're gonna save a person's life.
Yeah.
You know what, we go in and do the sacroiliac, that right around the ischial tuberosity, and I'm gonna tell you something right now. That person says, I had sciatica, and I can't even hardly walk, I gotta use a cane. And we'll just go in and work one area this big for 1 hour, cleaning around that area. And guess what? The person gets up and puts their knee to their chest and walks out the door.
Bam.
Bam, wham. Yeah.
Yep.
So you're going to be getting techniques that, guess what? You are going to be creating miracles. And they're not miracles because they're going to happen every day for you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, never seen that before. Well, get ready because you're going to see it a lot more because we figured it out. It's always been about scar tissue. It's always been about displaced calcium. It's always been about crystallization. And it's always been about you unable to suppress your, It's always been about you not being able to process emotional, dysfunctional beliefs that were never yours. How can you deal with somebody else's crap? That's what we do. We pass on the family curse. So we got to end it. So how was your 10 days or 8 days or how long did you? What did you do?
I went down to the beach and did sand scrubs. I was working those 5 steps like every day. I listened to this beautiful music. The Power of Love Is Here Now. That was just an amazing song. And I listened to the beautiful music, and I just really did. And you know what? It was because I'm a born trainer, and that is what I am meant to be. That's my passion and my purpose. And I had to step away from the non-surgical training. And a few times it was like, it was like I was missing something. But you know what? I never allowed it to go there because I was focused. I was doing the mirror work. And I kept saying, you know what, Sharon, you got this, you got this, you got this. And I just really did so much self-care. I absolutely just loved myself. I was just like constantly saying to myself, I love you and totally accept you outside. I said it like so many times. And I just kept repeating that and repeating that and repeating that. Because the emotion that came out when Daryl finally got it, because I was so confused because I didn't know what emotion it was, and he wanted me to tell him the emotion after that heart drop. And it finally came out because I just, you know what, I don't even know because it was betrayal. And that betrayal was me allowing myself to be betrayed. And so I own that. And I own that from the standpoint of being able to love myself for having a strong enough spirit to be able to maneuver that. And now I know, and now I like can let that go, and I can find the power within that, and I can have this honor, and this honor as far as this reset. My heart has had to create a new beat, and my lungs have had to create a new spot, because when you move the heart, the lungs, so there's still a little there's still some shakiness, and every once in a while I'll get a little like flutter within my heart, but this is a great reset within my body. And this is such an honor, because it's such an honor to sit here and be able to tell people about this, because this is the ultimate in the profound healing that we can, and give people this alignment. I mean, how long was that sitting like that for? I have my suspicions, and it was like probably decades that it was sitting like that. And so to now have an opportunity to beat and create that rhythm, I mean, right now, instantly, I found peace. Instantly, absolutely, as soon as the second that it happened, my body went into peace. And it was like, this little shakiness that was always kind of there that I could never pinpoint and really couldn't even understand it until it was gone. And so often we can't even understand things like that within our own healing journey and within the journey that we're leading, is that until it's gone, we don't really know what that feels like. And so I spent so much time and so much beautiful time with myself. And any other times that I've had to spend that time with myself is when I've been flat on my back and I've had no choice. And this time I had a choice because I could have, but he probably would have wrestled me down. But there's no way I was going to come here, because at times my heart was weeping. The night that I had the heart release,
Let me tell you, if I would have caught her on the property.
Yep. But it wasn't out of fear. It was out of me. It was out of self-love.
I know.
And I'm, you know, and even after, I mean, that was number 5. Now it's number 6. And you know, I am here. My commitment is to the people, is to myself first and foremost. And I've been doing so many perfect day consults and people that are really, really sick, and having to hold the line and really pushing them. And I say to them, I say, you know what, some of the things that I say, you may not like, but I'm going to say them. And if you hang up on me, well, at least I had an opportunity to say it. And so it's about, for me, it's about such empowerment. And it's about the fact that I am going to be this person right here holding these classes. And I am going to be this powerhouse within myself, within the healing community, within the community of leadership. And I'm going to have doctor in front of my name. And I will not stop until I do. And I am here, and I am powerful, and I am roaring, and there is nothing that's going to stand in my way. No person, no thing, no obstacle, no nothing. And I am coming from a place of love, and this is what I'm here for. And I'm here for every single one of you as being a leader as best as I possibly can, and to give my new heartbeat a chance to get into rhythm, because it's still tender and there's still some time there. And this is what I've made to be. And this is my passion and my purpose. And I am so, so thankful and so honored that I've been able to move this heart away from that chest and to have it find its place. Because it's been a long, long time. Thank you so much for listening.
So let's take a 5-10 minute break, and then we'll come back. Okay? Thank you, everybody who came up and told their stories. I needed you to hear some of these stories, because guess what? Let's start making your own story right now.